It was over, and I was glad it was. 3 brutal months overseas. What was supposed to be a simple 2-week work trip turned into a 90-day nightmare thanks to visa delays and a last-minute project extension. I hadn't even told the HOA I'd be gone that long. Figured it wasn't their business anyway. But the moment I pulled up to my house from the airport, exhaustion vanished. Something was wrong. The house looked different, repainted in a soft cream I never approved. New patio chairs sat out front, and the grass, always a bit wild, looked perfectly trimmed. What hit hardest, though? A brand new digital lock blinking back at me. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. I froze. For a second, I genuinely thought I'd gotten off at the wrong address. I took a few steps toward the door, just to check. But the number on the mailbox? Mine. It was my house. I pulled out my phone, ready to call the HOA president. Karen, the woman who once fined me for hanging Christmas lights too early. But before I could hit dial, a car pulled into the driveway with such confidence it rattled me. Out stepped a young man, button-down shirt, polished demeanor, carrying a brown grocery bag like he'd done this 100 times. He looked me over and raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me, sir," he said, stepping cautiously. "This is private property. Can I help you?" I laughed. "Sir, I should be asking you that. This is my house." He blinked. "That's not possible. I bought this house from the HOA president. Her name's Karen. She said her son used to live here and moved overseas." I opened my mouth to respond when, speak of the devil, a white Lexus screeched to a halt right behind him. The door swung open. Out came Karen in her usual sunglasses and blazer like she was storming a board meeting. "Oh, you're back?" she said, frozen mid-stride. I narrowed my eyes. "Yeah, I'm back. What the hell is going on?" Karen exhaled like I was the inconvenience. "Well, you said you'd be gone for a few weeks. After 2 months, I figured something tragic happened. I was concerned." The man turned sharply to her. "Wait, what do you mean he's the owner? You told me this was your son's house. I paid extra for the furniture and appliances." Karen's lips twitched. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked cornered. "Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments where you're watching this story from. So let me get this straight. You forged a lie about me being your son and sold my house while I was gone?" Karen laughed nervously, brushing a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "Oh, come on, let's not overreact. You vanished." The HOA board agreed that the house was probably abandoned. I was just trying to keep the neighborhood clean and functional." The man turned to me, jaw clenched. "Sir, I'm deeply sorry about this. I'm Greg. I'm a civil litigation attorney. I bought this house through a legal transaction, or so I thought. Karen said her son was relocating for work overseas, and she was handling the sale on his behalf." I blinked. "You're a lawyer?" He nodded. "Which means if I've been scammed, she's in serious trouble." Karen's face went pale like a ghost saw a ghost. He continued, "She even made me pay extra to keep all the existing furniture, is that electronics and kitchenware, said it was part of her son's international transfer. I wired her the funds directly, bypassing any agent, because she said it was a family sale." My jaw tightened. "That's why my TV's gone, my appliances, my dad's antique wall clock." Karen shifted uncomfortably. "Now wait a minute. I didn't steal. You weren't reachable for months." I had to make a decision. Greg crossed his arms. "You committed fraud. If what he's saying is true, and from what I'm seeing it is, this isn't just a civil issue. You forged documents, made false representations, and pocketed the money. That's criminal." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Where's my key, Karen?" She shook her head. "There's nothing to discuss here. I was operating under my HOA authority." "You're cooked," Greg muttered. Karen spun on him. "You don't understand how this HOA works. I've been on the board for 7 years. I've cleaned up this community. I made it profitable. You made it a joke," I cut in, "and now it's time for you to answer for it." Greg sighed and turned to me. "Listen, I had no idea. I'm on your side. I don't want to be part of this fraud. We need to get legal counsel involved. Fast." I nodded. "I already know a guy." Karen stormed off without another word, her heels clacking against the driveway like a retreating villain who finally ran out of lives. Greg looked at me, shook my hand, and said, "Let's take her down together." The next morning, I sat across from my lawyer, Gerald, an old friend with a sharp tongue and even sharper memory. I explained everything, from the forged sale to Greg's purchase and Karen's bogus son story. Gerald didn't even blink. She did what with your appliances? She sold them to Greg. He thought it was part of the house sale. He leaned back and let out a low whistle. Oh, we're not just looking at HOA overreach here. This is full-blown criminal behavior. Identity theft, real estate fraud, false documentation, possibly even mail fraud if she sent anything across state lines. Greg arrived an hour later with every document Karen had handed him. Clean, official looking, but when Gerald examined the sales agreement, he stopped cold. Wait a damn minute. This signature, she tried to forge yours, but it's sloppy. Look at the loops on the Y in your name. You sign it clean and curved. This one? Angled. Forced. That's amateur work. We pulled the deed transfer records. Karen had used her authority as HOA president to falsely sign a power of attorney document claiming I authorized her to sell the house while I was away. Greg shook his head. I should have seen it. But the paperwork looked real. I even cross-checked with county records. She forged those too, Gerald muttered, snapping photos with his phone. You were both screwed. Within 48 hours, we had enough evidence to file formal complaints with both the police and the county recorder's office. Karen must have sensed it because the next morning she didn't show up to the emergency HOA meeting called to address the accusations. Instead, she sent a pathetic email about taking a short mental health leave. Coward. The HOA board, all her little cronies, tried to dodge accountability. But when we pulled up surveillance footage from the HOA clubhouse printer showing Karen printing and signing the forged documents, it was over. One of the board members resigned on the spot. Then came the court date. Karen looked rough. No more power blazers. Just a wrinkled dress and nerves. My lawyer dropped the forged paperwork on the table like a nuke. Greg testified against her, clearly disgusted at how she'd manipulated him. I spoke last. She didn't just steal a home. She stole my peace, my trust in this neighborhood. She hid behind rules and power to rob me blind. Karen's attorney looked like he wanted to disappear. The judge shook his head. Miss Karen, I hope you're ready, because this is just the beginning. Karen sat in that courtroom like a shadow of herself. No sunglasses, no smug smile, just a pale face and a trembling foot that wouldn't stop tapping against the tiled floor. The judge didn't bother dragging it out. The evidence was overwhelming. Forged signatures, fake power of attorney, false representation of ownership. It wasn't just sloppy, it was deliberate. Miss Karen, the judge said, voice calm but heavy, you have been found guilty on 4 felony counts: forgery, fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to defraud. You abused your authority, manipulated public trust, and violated state and federal real estate laws. The court hereby sentences you to 9 years in state prison. I heard a gasp from the courtroom gallery, probably one of her loyal board flunkies. The judge wasn't done. You will also pay restitution in the amount of $680,000 to the original homeowner, and your personal property, including your house and assets, will be seized and auctioned to begin repayment. Karen's mouth finally moved. But I was just trying to help the community. I didn't mean, the judge raised a hand. You lied, stole, and sold someone's home. You weren't helping anyone but yourself. The courtroom buzzed. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the bench. Greg, sitting beside me, leaned over and whispered, "Justice." That's what that sounds like. After the sentencing, I stepped outside the courthouse and just breathed. That first inhale of real, unburdened air hit different. Greg clapped me on the back. You were solid up there, man. Crystal clear. You earned that win. And you? I asked. Ever get your refund? He grinned. Got it. Title insurance came through. Karen's house is now funding both our losses. The irony, right? I chuckled. You ever think this HOA drama would lead to us becoming allies? Greg laughed. It's the weirdest friendship I've ever had, but easily the most satisfying. Back in the neighborhood, Karen's house had a foreclosure notice nailed to the door. The HOA board was dissolved entirely. A special election brought in fresh faces, including a neighbor named Lisa who vowed transparency and zero corruption. As for me, I got my house back. Every piece of furniture, every family photo, every broken trust restored, with reinforced locks this time. Karen's name was wiped from the HOA history, replaced with a permanent warning in every neighborhood meeting. Abuse your power and the same thing will happen to you. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Have you had a similar encounter with a Karen or anyone in the HOA board? Let us know in the comments.